Hello and welcome to another episode with me, Seema Pateel. In today's episode, we'll be talking about one of the foundational aspects of your business, niche. Now, as soon as I say niche, if you're feeling uncomfortable or unsure, then don't worry. In today's episode, I'll be clarifying a lot of things for you and I'll be helping you identify your niche so that you have a better opportunity to create content that actually resonates and attracts better clients. So, what is a niche? A niche, simply defined, is a segment of the market that you're trying to promote and serve with your product or services. Now, a market can be anything. Another term for it is industry. Now, you could be in the market trying to sell a cleaning product, a plumbing service, and you're in the industry of serving clients via your graphic design. Now, graphic design is a skill, it's not a market, and business owners is a very wide market. However, it's not a niche per se, it's just a market. So when you niche, you narrow down, you focus on one subset of the whole pie instead of spreading yourself thin, trying to attract and talk to a lot of people across a lot of layers, and you focus on one small layer and you become an expert in that. You become the go to person in that. If I give you a very simple example, it is surgeons who specialize in just one organ. For example, a heart surgeon doesn't do surgery for somebody's knees. The same way, a neurosurgeon doesn't go and do appendicitis. They are so familiar with the heart or their own organ, a tiny or big organ, that they are considered specialists and they are called in not as soon as someone has a pain in their chest. They are called only once the general physician and other experts have verified that a surgeon is necessary here and regular medication is not going to help. So, when you niche down so specific, imagine the kind of reputation you can build and imagine the kind of work that you're going to get. Now, it could also be the kind of work that you want to do. It doesn't have to specifically be an industry. That's just one way of niching. You could also specialize. For example, a someone who works with heart, a doctor who works with hearts doesn't always have to do surgery. Surgeon is very different from someone who tries to help heal via medication. That person, both doctors are actually aware of how the heart functions, what's needed and what's not, but their skills are completely different. A surgeon has to have really precise hands, whereas that's not really a requirement for the other kind of doctor. Now, I don't know what they are called. However, I hope you're getting the kind of specialization that's possible within a within a market based on your skill. Now, if you're unsure why you should niche or how you can niche, this is what the entire episode is all about. Let's start with why you should niche. The biggest reason is you can hone your skills, you can hone your messaging, the copy that you write to attract your ideal clients, and you can be in the know of the industry, or you can be among the people who you want to serve the most and be aware of what's in, what's out of trend, be aware of what's the industry standard, thus making it easy for you to market your services. Knowing the industry helps you create the kind of content that you need to attract the right kind of person. By that, I mean, say, a person who's not a designer, who has no idea about design, doesn't understand why papyrus is frowned upon or why Comic Sans is frowned upon by the designers. All the jokes, those are all internal jokes. Like, I like papyrus, I like Comic Sans, and I've used it many a times. Had I not spent time with designers, I would never know that Comic Sans is not supposed to be used in official documents. And then I saw the other example about fonts where one of the fonts was blood dripping, and the statement was, "I will love you always," and the other was the regular font. It said, "I will love you always," and then I realized, oh my God, fonts do matter. So unless I'm in the know, I would never understand what ticks off as something that's a no-no in the industry, and what ticks off as something amazing or even acceptable. So being in the know comes when you know exactly, when you have a niche and you spend time understanding the people in that niche. So if you're unsure why you should niche, that's a big reason to know the people, the kind of people that you're working with, so that you don't do the things that are offensive, and you actually do the things that'll attract them, that'll help them pay attention to you. I mean, yeah, Comic Sans would get attention from my designer friends, but not for the right reasons. And that's not the kind of attention I would like when I'm marketing my services. Like if I'm trying to have fun, if I'm trying to throw a fun party or something sarcastic, then yes, I think I would be hitting the nail. However, if I was trying to attract a client with that, they would definitely not want to hire me. Uh, I'm not saying they would hire me for design, but they would definitely want me to be their client because of the kind of effect I'm putting, and they would understand. I don't understand that industry, so I probably am not the right person, because there are definitely people who are content marketing strategists who have spent time understanding what works for designers and what attracts them, and they are marketing right. So over that person, why would I be picked? It's a simple choice. The same way, if you are trying to attract health and wellness coaches and your website is turning them off because of the kind of images you've used, or because of the kind of clients you've worked with, if it's a wellness coach, then I am very sure that someone who is for is healthy, balanced living may not necessarily be happy with you working with a client who is pushing an unhealthy form of protein powder. Like you did the product related designs for them, and just because that is your client, you may be turning off a health and wellness coach who is into holistic means for living a healthy lifestyle. This doesn't mean you should drop a specific kind of client. However, this just means that the health and wellness coach who looks for holistic means of living would definitely go with another designer who understands this concept of having a holistic lifestyle, eating balanced meals as a person themselves, because then they are definitely going to be able to extract the right kind of feel from the coach and create their branding and other collaterals, whatever is needed. It's simply that whoever you kind of gel with, whoever you have like-minded attitude with, that's the person you'll inadvertently get attracted to. So if you're trying to attract a specific kind of client, if you enjoy doing a specific kind of work, then you have to be aware of what is going to work best with them. And it is great to be diversified. I don't say that just because you work with health and wellness coaches, you cannot work with a business coach or a mindset coach. It just means all of them, all of the different varieties of coaches is still a niche. And instead of attracting just about any coach, you probably must be attracting a coach who is great into building up your mindset as a person, along with your health and wellness journey, along with your business entrepreneurial journey, along with whatever else that you're doing. So when you dig deep, you will notice that all of the clients that you have worked with and you have enjoyed working with have that specific thing that you probably wouldn't notice if you hadn't paid attention to, which led them to choose you over another designer. The next reason is that it helps you create a kind of process and systems to cut down the time that you need to work with these kind of serve these kind of clients. Now, it could be creating templates. If you're working with a specific kind of industry, you know what kind of templates in social media templates work best with the clients who go to that industry. For example, if you were designing a tech related website, there are some colors that are quite common. For example, blues, blacks, and whites are red are quite common in the tech industry. So if you were designing websites, you could have sample websites created, or you could have actual client websites created which are prominent in these colors. And when your ideal client visits your profile and they notice these, they are immediately going to feel the confidence. They are not going to think, oh yes, they are using this color, so this designer knows what I need. That doesn't happen. It's intuitively. I know you understand design, and I know how design is actually intuitively attracting people. So I guess I don't have to go too much in detail explaining that how the design is going to attract your ideal client to the kind of work that you've already done and build a certain confidence that you're capable of handling their project. And that's one of the very important objections that you have to handle. And that is one of the reasons that makes it easy for someone buying from you, pay you the kind of pricing you have for your packages. So if you're trying to attract the kind of clients that you want, knowing them intimately also helps you speed up this process. You don't have to spend the same amount of time with each and every client always. You can start with a base template, whether it's your social media packages, whether it's your web design packages, even your brand strategy. The questionnaire is not going to be all that different if you know the industry that you're working with, because your questions have been kind of whittled down to work with this specific industry. For example, if you're working for a tech company who wants you to design their branding and website, and you're working with a health and wellness coach who wants you to design their branding and website, the kind of questions, the kind of questionnaires that you have to create, the kind of aesthetics that you have to prepare, all of that is totally different for these two people. And you may say that I can prepare the templates for both, and that's great, but there's still the point number one where I said creating the right kind of copy and to attract the right kind of clients becomes a little messy, especially in your head when you're trying to attract a wide variety of people. So that's point number two, simplifying and speeding up your processes and systems to help your clients quickly and saving time in the process. The third reason is that you can easily create a kind of rapport that makes them feel that you know them so well, that you speak their own language, that you're almost in their heads. So, this is again related to the kind of copy that you write, and that's what is going to make them feel. It's not that everybody who just notices you will come running to you. They are going to spend some time following you on your social media and probably going through the website that you've created for them. And in order for them to feel connected to you and build that rapport that says this is the right person, you have to make them feel that you know and understand them, that you're listening to them, even without them directly talking to you. It doesn't matter how much time it has been that they've spent with you. If they get the feeling the moment they land on your website, or if they get the feeling after they've just scrolled through your social media posts, then you've done a really good job. And that is possible only when you actually have one specific niche. I mean, you could have multiple niches and you could spend time learning about them, but then that's a time issue. Why not focus on one at a time and grow as the experts have done so far? That way, you become a master of multiple niches, by the time you have spent a few years being a graphic designer, you will have come across so many clients and so many varieties that it would just be easier for you to write copy for the kind of clients that you want each time. I am sure you're not taking on 10 clients at the same time in 10 different industries. It's at most 4 clients a month and 4 different clients. It makes it it makes it quite time consuming, and it's a bit harder if you want to hire down the line, if you want to bring on an additional designer. It becomes easier to hire the kind of person by just going through the work that they have done. It's not just a matter of skill, it's also a matter of having interest in the niche that changes how your new hire contractor can approach the projects. Another reason is it helps you stand apart from the crowd and position yourself as the most desirable option. For example, a general web designer is great. However, if I was looking for a Squarespace designer only because I want my website to be on Squarespace only, that totally changes the game as soon as I see the kind of comments I see in a Facebook group where I posted about my opportunity. So I'm going to eliminate anybody who says Wix or WordPress, or I do all of them, and I pick the person who says I'm a Squarespace designer and I am in the Squarespace circle. So that is automatically most attractive over all the other options. Or for example, if I was looking for someone who can design my ClickFunnels page, now I understand as a WordPress developer myself, anybody can design and develop for any platform if they have an understanding of the code. However, I also understand that anybody who has already worked with the specific platform multiple times, they understand it so well. They understand the measurements needed. So there's no trial and error in terms of what size the images that I want should be. They understand the speed or the optimization options. For example, a Squarespace person has no clue how to optimize a WordPress website. So if I hire a Squarespace designer who wants to branch into WordPress, I have to either be okay with the idea that they are doing a trial and error and this might take longer than anticipated. I should be okay that uh, there will be a lot of reviews and I should be okay to spend time in that. If I'm not, then I should be okay to spend the money needed to hire an expert in WordPress instead of letting a not so experienced person take it on. So when you work with WordPress a lot, you're gaining expertise, and that's what makes you most valuable. That's what makes you be able to charge a lot. The same way, if you are working exclusively with Show It, then that's what makes you valuable, because I've tried Show It, and as a developer myself, it is hard. It's not that simple to just go and design, or Webflow, all of these. And I wouldn't take on a client who is not on WordPress because I don't want to spend time learning. It is not worth it when I consider my time spent, when the money that I get overall, it's not worth it to keep taking on a variety of things. The same way, when you say you design Facebook and Instagram graphics, I think it would be easier if you just sold them as product, because Facebook cover graphics, I think, keeps changing quite frequently. I have seen that specific request. Can you please tell me how much, what is the dimensions of the Facebook group cover page or the Facebook business page cover image? So all of that knowledge, I don't know if it's worth it in terms of your time to be aware of all of it if it's not your area of expertise or area of interest. Even you don't always have to be an expert. If it doesn't interest you and having to keep track of it just for that one client, is not really the best use of your time. So to be able to utilize your time best, to build a great rapport, to make you, to attract the clients that you want, the kind of clients that you want, and make them feel that you're in their head, it's best that you go small into a very small subset of the market that you want to work with. Even if it's health and wellness coaches, you still have an opportunity to go narrower rather than just be spread out. And as you grow, as you learn, and as you become an expert, you definitely have the opportunity to start expanding. I am not saying you have to stay there forever. 6 months to an year. That's more than enough for you to feel super confident in the small section of the market that you've chosen and become well known over there and then slowly branch out. Now that I've given you all the reasons why you should niche, let me help you niche down yourself. So, how do you pick a niche? Now, if you're a brand new business owner who has never provided your services as such to anybody, my recommendation is to not niche and just work with whoever wants to work with you, because as someone who has never provided your services, or as someone who has never worked by themselves with a client, or found a client by themselves and only worked in an agency, I don't know what kind of work you really enjoy. You may have liked working on one thing a lot more than the other that you were doing, but there is a possibility that you may not want to do it as an independent freelancer, just because it may not get you the kind of clients that you like working with, or it may not get you to the revenue goal that you're looking for. For example, social media graphics is great. And if your primary job in your agency was to create social media graphics, um, understand that it is a very valuable service. However, there's not many people who want that, and people prefer going for templates that they can use multiple times than to hire a graphic designer each time, depending on the stage of the business that they are in. Someone who is brand new or is growing will not necessarily hire a graphic designer to do all of their graphics. They will most likely hire a VA who will be using templates and creating the graphics, which means your skills in creating social media templates is not going to be utilized the way that you are looking for, and it's not going to be as valuable. So you'll be stuck with just one or two clients who don't even come to you often. So the way you can position that specific skill is as a retainer. Like, you retain me on a monthly basis and you get a minimum of 20 social media graphics, and beyond that, if you want, you get it for a discounted price. However, if you want to reach a bigger financial goal, you will have to add additional ways. You may have to add products and not services, but you'll have to add additional ways of generating income. And probably you'll come to realize that though you've never designed websites, you just love it. And though you love designing, you love creating the websites and show it, and that becomes your niche. And the people who want show it websites, mostly photographers, are the ones that you should be targeting. So, depending on what kind of work you'll enjoy doing, niching down after working with a few clients makes the most sense for a brand new business owner who's just starting out. Now, as someone who's been in the business for a while, you have some experience working with clients. So look back and see which of these clients did you enjoy working with the most. If you don't have any, I have more questions that will help you reach out. But think about it. Of all the clients that you've worked with, who did you enjoy working with the most? Not just in terms of the kind of work that you did, but also in terms of the end product that you could create in terms of the way they gave you the feedback. For example, let's just take photographers. You worked with photographers and you found that a specific kind of wedding photographer and their brand is something that made you feel joy when creating over a photographer for seniors or a travel photographer. So if you enjoyed creating the brand for the wedding photographer the most, then I think that's what is going to probably make you happy in the next few months. And understanding that this is the kind of client that you would like working with for the next few months is a great first step. Now you know what kind of portfolio pieces you should put in there, and now you know what kind of messages you need to craft in your social media or on your website. Instead of saying I do branding or I do brand strategy, you can say I do branding and brand strategy for wedding photographers, or I do branding and brand strategy for southern wedding photographers. And I think that's great. Knowing the outcome and knowing that this is the outcome that I want to give my clients is going to not just make the work that you do enjoyable, it's also going to make it the energy is actually going to exude out of you when you work with your client. They can sense that you are definitely the person to go to, or you are definitely enjoying it so much that instead of being nitpicky on the colors or the fonts, etc., they're going to be super happy with the is the end result of your hard work together. And yes, that's the next thing that you should focus on. Which of the clients that you worked with actually enjoyed working with you and was very happy with the outcome that you provided them? For example, if one of the clients said, "Oh my God, it's like giving an exam, answering all of your questions, um, even though the end product was great and you had fun creating all of it, do you really think you want to work with someone who is hesitant to create the kind of collaboration that's needed to create a brand that's going to attract their clients? Is that really the kind of person that you want to work with? If not, you don't have to stop working with in the industry, but you can take a look at what kind of characteristics should a photographer, if it was a photographer, have when I want to work with them, and that makes up for an easier client collaboration and a happy client in the end. I mean, yes, the person was great and their outcome was great. She was super happy. But do you know what she's going to say to her friends or any referrals? She's going to say, "You should try. She did a good job." However, she asked so many questions. I felt like I was sitting down and dumping so much of my brain in there. I wish she could do it without asking me so many questions. Probably that's the only drawback of working with her. And when someone doesn't know about how brand strategy works, that's actually not going to make them want to come with you. And instead of getting a brand that helps them actually reach the right kind of market, they're going to work with someone who doesn't do a great job in creating brands, who's probably brand new and doesn't have a questionnaire. And you don't want someone to have a bad experience because you didn't choose the right kind of client, and they ended up saying things to another person who could have probably been the best client for you, but they were not ready to come to you because of the kind of mindset or the way uh, the referral was wrapped and given. So knowing which client enjoyed working with you is just as important as knowing which client you enjoyed working with. Next thing you need to identify is what aspects of each of these clients that you enjoyed working with and the clients who enjoyed working with you did you like the most? What were the specific things, the specific traits or characteristics of the project, of the person, and of the industry that you enjoyed working with most, so that you can write copy that'll attract these specific people. It's very simple. What kind of photographer do you want? I love creating whimsical brands. So maybe not always saying I love creating whimsical brands, but finding out which kind of photographer does whimsical photography. What, other than being whimsical, what other characteristics does their brand represent? And trying to use those words in your copy is definitely going to attract that kind of person and repel the others. So, knowing the specific characteristics and being super clear about it is the next thing that you have to identify. The next question is, what aspects made these projects and these clients fun to work with? Yes, you like creating whimsical brands, but what was the most fun part? The most fun part could be that the person was great at providing feedback. Like they did not like your first draft, and that's probably okay with you, but the kind of feedback that they gave was a lot better than another person whose brand was also whimsical, but they just were not ready to give you the feedback in the right way. And even after prompting a lot, you can make them happy with the kind of end product. Or maybe you made them happy but you were not happy yourself, and that has happened with designers I am aware of. Like they picked the kind of the 3 or 4 concepts that you gave, they picked the one that was your least favorite, and you probably got the money and it was okay experience, it was not the greatest. So what makes for the greatest and the most fun in all the projects that you worked in and all the clients that you worked with? Well, the next thing is understanding if your offer is the most appropriate for these clients. For example, an e commerce website on Show It is going to not be the most appropriate if you ask me, because yes, there are ways and hacks. However, irrespective of what anybody says, in my opinion, if you want an e commerce store, go with Shopify. Better yet, go with WordPress. Have everything in one place. You're the only person who is dealing with, hopefully, their website design. The whole thing looks cohesive instead of bits and pieces, because I am very sure it takes a lot of work trying to make your Shopify website look like the Show It website designed. So instead of hacking things together, you might just go with WordPress. So when you say you create uh, websites on Show It only, why work with e-commerce websites who want to be on Show It? Like, why sell them Show It websites if they are looking for e-commerce websites? You could just sell them Show It uh, you could just sell them Shopify websites, or you could just ask them to be on WordPress and make it all cohesive. So, depending on the kind of offer you have, do you think it is the appropriate offer for the kind of clients that you've worked with or the kind of clients you want to work with? Let's make it be the most beneficial for both the client and you, instead of making it easy on yourself because you are aware of how this specific way things are done. Next is to identify if you can narrow down further. Now, do you really want to just stop wherever you think you have reached? Like you have identified this, yes, all of these things work based on the answers you've provided already. And I think this works best for me. Once you've reached that spot, do you think you can narrow down further? Do you think you can specialize even more? If yes, then please, by all means, go ahead. If you really think that you're still very broad and you may have a little bit of difficulty trying to craft messaging that is going to attract the most appropriate client, then go ahead and narrow down. Do the exercise again for the specific people that you have in mind, and probably you can narrow down further. If not, no problem. it's a great place to start at. And lastly, market research. Now, I'm not saying that you should spend all of your time in market research. However, go to the place where your ideal clients hang and ask them if this offer, whatever you have in mind, is most beneficial for the niche that you have in mind. When you do that, you get validation that you're on the right track. You take away any kind of doubts that you may have about not finding clients, and in case you niche down so specifically, so deeply. So market research and help yourself in feeling confident about what you've done so far. We've done a lot of whittling down and thinking and processing of what kind of clients you've already worked with and what you've enjoyed. So make sure that you ask a few of these people to ensure, to just validate to yourself that yes, this is the right thing for me. I want this for myself. If you're thinking these are a lot of questions and I'll have to rewatch and know what questions these are and I may have to make a note, then don't worry. I have a PDF with the questions set out for you, which is down in the description box below. You can check it out later. But before I finish the episode, I have a few things that I'd like to clarify for you, because as soon as someone thinks about niching, especially when you haven't found your niche naturally, you may have some myths, or you may be making some mistakes that you should be avoiding, because you're no longer a brand new business owner. You are much more experienced and you should utilize that experience and the expertise in the most effective and efficient way, rather than as a brand new business owner does. So the very first thing that I'd like for you to do is not to rush into this and implement it gradually. And if you're thinking, what if I don't get a client because I narrowed down my focus so much? Then let me tell you again, a heart surgeon doesn't go looking for clients, doesn't open multiple shops. They are specifically asked for by others. So by narrowing down your focus, you become an authority in a small field. And that's super great for you, because you become known, you become very well known, you become visible. Like when you go on a podcast, you won't be talking about typography or design principles. You'll be talking about your specific niche, and that's going to make everybody in your niche immediately pay attention to what you're saying, because you're talking to the specific person. You're not talking to everybody. You're not saying that uh, you should have a brand that speaks to people. I mean, yes, that's what most brand strategists and designers put in their social media posts. As far as I've seen, you'd actually be giving tips for the specific niche. For example, you're going to say, if you're a health and wellness coach and you're brand new and you don't want to hire a designer, then these are the tips. Use these colors, because your clients are intuitively going to get attracted to these colors, and that's why they'll spend more time on your website. Or use these fonts because they are going to make your clients feel a specific way, so you can talk much more easier. So don't be afraid to niche down, and don't be afraid that you won't get clients. Probably you will feel a dip in the kind of people who approach you. That's because you're specifically saying, I'm looking for this, and not everybody is this. So whoever is this is only going to respond. So it may feel that you're attracting fewer people, but that's not true. You're attracting the right kind of people. Now, if you're thinking, what if I stop enjoying working with these people? Let me tell you, you may, or you may not. You may actually find that you have to niche down even further, because the kind of clients that you're working in your new niche is great. However, there's even more specificity that you've figured out that you gel with the most. So Yeah, you may not enjoy, and which means you can pivot. That's absolutely fine, and that's normal. And you may enjoy it so much that you're the person that everyone wants to work with the most, and you get booked out like you always dreamed about. So it can go either way, and there's no reason not to try just because there could be a con. It's a possibility, but not guaranteed. So don't stress yourself out. This is not a lifelong commitment. It's just 6 months to an year, or maybe two. And probably then you'll realize that you are not just interested in designing yourself, you probably want to coach. So there's no guarantees. So right now, what's best for you? Just work, focus on that. And that's the niche that you should be in and you should be spending time in. Now, if you're worried that you may not get enough clients, thus you may not get enough money, trust me, there may be a dip in the kind of inquiries you get because the not relevant people stop contacting you. However, after a couple of clients, you will see that you are in more demand than usual and you'll be able to increase your pricing. So that's just your mindset that you have to have, that says, for a while, I'm going to stick with it and let it work for me instead of letting my doubts creep in and not make things work for me because I keep changing stuff, because I keep feeling not confident. So I keep posting mixed messages where some posts say I want to work with a specific niche, and then some posts are so generic. So instead of giving mixed messages, stick with it. It is going to work. It is definitely going to work. And if you've done your market research, I don't think you would even have this doubt. So if you haven't, then a great time to do your market research. And anyone looking at a very experienced designer and thinking, but she works with all kinds of clients, or she doesn't seem like she's niched down, or she doesn't seem like she sells product or services to a specific person only. Let me make this super clear. She niched down. You probably didn't know her all that well when she niched down, or you didn't follow her. So you didn't know that she was working with a very specific niche. She grew, she scaled, and now, as she scaled, she is able to work with a wide section of people because she has the kind of audience where she provides very specific service to a very specific set of people. She did niche, and now she is enjoying the fruits of having niched a while ago and becoming an authority in her field already. So don't look at somebody else. Comparison is never great, especially with someone who is way ahead of us. You're going to do great when you niche down, and this is about your journey for where you are right now. You will grow. There is no way that you will not grow if you keep at it. So don't compare yourself, focus on your current journey. At this stage, you should be niching and you should be specializing. So, how do you do that? You have the questionnaire in the description box below. I hope this video has been helpful, and I hope I've helped you figure out what is the best niche for you based on the questions. And I'd like to hear from you what you think. Like, did you find this exercise useful? Did you find the PDF useful? And if you did choose to niche, what's your niche that you've chosen? I'd love to have a conversation on this in the chat below. And if you did really like this video, then don't forget to hit the like button, and please do subscribe because the next episode is all about your ideal clients. And I don't want you to just be aware of a niche. I want you to get better at the content that you create, and finding out your ideal client is the next important step. So I'll see you next week, and next week we'll be identifying your ideal client avatar. Bye bye.